Imagine you're about to dive off a high diving board. You walk right up to the edge. What happens then is your little voice, that internal dialogue, starts screaming at you. Get away from that high diving board. Go back down the stairs. Don't do this. In this video, I'm going to explain why that little voice does that, how to recognize what's actually happening, and how to break through that little voice, how to actually use that internal dialogue in your favor so you can master your S3X energy, you can break through the limitations of your life and level up in any area of your life once you understand this. Let's dive into it. Hi, my name is Nakula and I help men master their S3X energy so that you can become a powerhouse both in and outside the bedroom and ultimately unleash all of God's given gifts and abilities so that you could break through, level up, and live the life that you're destined to live. Make sure you go to the description below and take advantage of the free resources like the free transmutation guide. Now, when you're about to break through, whether it's on your no-fat journey and you're about to break through to new levels, whether it's on your weight loss journey, whether it's in your finances, whether it's in your spiritual life, what's going to happen is you're going to run into your own blocks. You're going to start to self-sabotage your own success. And this happens to everyone. It's happened to me. It'll happen to you. It's part of the growth process. The more that you can understand what's happening, the easier it is to actually break through and to navigate through those self-sabotaging patterns and beliefs. All right. So the fancy word for this is called homeostasis. That's the biological term, fancy word for comfort zone. So let's just use comfort zone. You have a comfort zone, and your comfort zone has been conditioned through your bloodline. For example, people will talk about when it comes to weight loss, well, I just have bad genes. There's definitely an aspect of that, meaning, I'm just gonna be blunt here. You had fat parents, you might be fat, okay? Sorry, it's not politically correct, okay? That's just what it is. You got fat parents, you might be fat. You got skinny parents, you might be skinny, okay? Because that's coming down in your DNA. Your DNA is like coded. But here's the deal. Your DNA is not just coded with your physical attributes, it's also giving your psychological attributes. Meaning, if mom and dad didn't have the highest integrity, guess what? You're probably not gonna have the highest levels of integrity. If mom and dad didn't do well in finances, there's a good chance you're gonna be programmed with the same financial or money mindset. If they didn't do so well in relationships, you might not do so well in relationships. Now, we know there's countless stories of people who have changed their lineage. Jesus said, you carry the sins of your father. This is exactly what he was talking about. He was talking about the fact that there's something called lineage karma. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also alludes to this fact. He actually says that one soul that becomes enlightened can free a whole bloodline. Imagine the power that you have as a conscious man to not only help yourself break free from addictions or negative patterns or limitations and completely shift your bloodline's history. You have that power, but you've got to understand this concept of comfort zone at a deeper level. So what happens is we have our psychological homeostasis or comfort zone, meaning if you are conditioned to be overweight, you're probably going to stay conditioned to be overweight until you start to recondition that pattern. The beauty is your bloodline, your DNA, your muscle memory can all be reprogrammed. We're the only species on the planet that can transform ourselves from within, meaning you have the free will and choice. God has granted you the ability and power in the human form of life to ascend or transform yourself into something else, to up-level, to upgrade yourself. Now, this also happens at a psychological level. And this is really what I want to talk about today, is the psychological comfort zone. The reason that when you go to the edge of the diving board, that your little voice gets the loudest is because that's when your little voice is trying to protect you. Meaning self-sabotage is actually a protection mechanism. It's like your own little voice going, hey, we're about to do something outside of our comfort zone. Now, here's what you have to understand about your own little voice. It's not very intelligent. Because there's two types of intelligence. We can call one intelligence and one intellect. Intellect is what's been given to you by your society, by your bloodline, by your parents, by the media, by school. It's all the impressions that have been given to you. But intelligence is something deeper. It's the discriminatory factor that allows you to make good choices. So for example, you open up the fridge, you see the apple, you see the cake. Your intellect, because of your fat parents, okay, because they chose the cake all the time, you've been now going, well, I'm gonna choose the cake too. Intellect. But your higher intelligence already knows the answer, that the apple is the better choice. So the journey is to use your intelligence and higher intelligence to override the negative patterns. So let's go back on the diving board. You're there, you're about to jump. I saw this video the other day and it was a kid and he was about to jump off like a rock cliff, like kind of same scenario, but it was rock cliff, and he kept going forward, and he kept going forward and back. I kept going forward and back and forward and back. You see, he was going through it, right? Now, what allows somebody to jump off the diving board? Higher knowledge. What do I mean by that? So before you climbed up and you went on the diving board, you probably saw a bunch of other people doing it, you know? I remember the first time I went snowboarding. Oh, so frustrating. I sucked. I just like collapsed the whole way down the hill. What was really frustrating is watching these 10-year-old kids just zooming by me like freely, you know? But higher intelligence tells me, well, if that 10-year-old kid can do this, I definitely can do it. So you probably watched other people jump off the diving board, land in the water, and they're perfectly fine. So you can see by looking at someone else who has already accomplished something, you know it can be accomplished too. It's like, well, geez, if that guy can jump off the diving board and be fine, so can I. Maybe you've read some books on high diving and you're like, here's all these techniques and ways to do high diving. And so you know through higher intelligence and higher intellect that you're actually gonna be fine. But your base mechanism, your protective mode, your fear-based mind, your animal mind is just going, we've never done it before, stop, stop, stop. That's what happens when you want to break through at any aspect of life. When you're about to break through financially, you're gonna have the most self-sabotaging thoughts. When you're gonna break through in your health, you're gonna have the most self-sabotaging patterns. When you're gonna break through in your relationship and find deeper love and connection, you're gonna have the most self-sabotaging thoughts. Those self-sabotaging thoughts are actually designed to protect you. They're your body and your base saying, hey, we're about to go outside of our comfort zone. Here's what to do with those thoughts. Say, thank you so much. I appreciate you trying to protect me. Don't hate those thoughts. Don't hate those patterns. Show them love. Show them love. Say, hey, you know what? I get it. You're scared. We're about to jump off a diving board. We've never done it before. Of course we're scared. This is categorically difficult. If you're practicing semen retention, no FAP, if you're trying to change your life for a positive, what you're doing is categorically difficult. If I said to you, I'm gonna climb Mount Everest, and I've never climbed Mount Everest before, you would say, man, that's categorically difficult. Of course you're gonna have doubts. Of course you're gonna have fears. Of course you're gonna have anxiety. Of course you're gonna feel nervous. Of course your little voice is gonna try to talk you out of it. If you didn't, you might be a psychopath. Right? We'd be like, what? Yeah, that would be normal. It would be normal that you are going to face self-sabotaging behaviors and patterns on your way to greatness, on your way to your destiny. Look at anybody in history. I mean, if you've ever read the Bible, there is countless stories of person after person after person who on their way to higher destinies fell so many times, faced so many battles. If you've read the stories in the Vedas, it's the same thing. Modern day stories. Heck, modern day movies like Star Wars, the hero's journey, all follows this same pattern. So the key is to recognize this homeostasis. Recognize the fear, the little voice that's trying to stop you. I'm not sure if I can invest in that program. I'm not sure if I can put myself out there. I'm not sure if she's gonna say yes. All that nervousness, all that fear, all those self-sabotaging patterns, recognize it as what it is. The old version of you trying to keep you safe, say thank you so much, but I'm gonna use higher intellect. I'm gonna use my mentors, my knowledge, what I know is to be true at a higher level, and I'm gonna surrender to that. And that's when you jump off the diving board, splash into that water, and how do you feel? Alive. In fact, you want to go up and do it again. And by the time you jump off the diving board the second, third, or fourth time, guess what? You're ready to go to the even higher diving board next and do it all over. That's growth. That's how you break through. It's not about not having fear, nervousness, or anxiety. It's about facing that and letting that be the launching pad. Every time I feel nervous, every time I feel scared, every time I have self-defeating thoughts, I say to myself, thank you. I'm at the edge of my comfort zone. It's time to dive. I hope you got value from this video. Let me know what you took away in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you never get notified. Sending you much love.